Prashant, can you hear me?
Yeah. Good evening, Dhruv.
Good evening, Prashant. How are you?
Fine, fine. How are you?
Going on here. So, you can see my screen, right?
Yeah, I can see.
Okay. So, can you please put your line on mute? And if you have any questions, you can unmute and ask. Thank you. And Vishwanath, please record the session. Okay. So let me start. Yesterday, we went through the basics of what is SAP HANA and the reason for its existence, why it was invented, right? And why it was not possible 10 years back. And what are the different options in which we can use HANA or deploy HANA. So those are called use cases or deployment options of HANA. So let us do a quick recap. Prashant, can you please tell me what do you mean by HANA as an accelerator?
Sorry, Dhruv, can you repeat it once again?
Yesterday we discussed the use cases of HANA, how HANA can be used. So there are 4 different ways. One of the ways was HANA as an accelerator. What does that mean?
I forgot actually just now I have come. I couldn't able to recall and go through on that.
Okay. Make sure you go through the classes because I'll be asking the questions from previous class.
Okay, okay, sure.
So that you know things stay in your memory.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't go to disk. It should be there in your RAM.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No problem. So we'll you go through the recordings. Did you get the recording for yesterday's class?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Perfect. Okay then. So let's begin with today's class. So as we discussed yesterday, it started with a database, SAP HANA, and now it has become a platform. And why it has become a platform? Because it has all the support for all the different technologies, and it also supports web technologies like Java, HTML, XML, and other technologies. And how it supports that? Through a small web application server, which is called Access Engine. So when you install Access Engine, and Access Engine is an optional component. It does not come along with the standard installation. Only when you tell SAP that in addition to the standard installation, I also want Access Engine, then they will go ahead and install it in HANA, and then it will support all your web technologies. So that means a website can directly talk to SAP HANA, a Java application can directly talk to SAP HANA, and things like that. Okay, so that's what it says. SAP HANA platform is a flexible data source agnostic in-memory data platform. Now no more database, it's now called a platform that allows customers to analyze large volumes of data in real time. Why in real time? Because the moment the data is loaded in the source system, immediately within few seconds the data is also available in SAP HANA. So that is a real-time data transfer happens in SAP HANA, and that's why the data is available for reporting or for analysis in real time. Okay. It is also a development platform, and by development means you can define or code your own small application, right? And which component will support that? Your extended application services, or it's also called Access Engine. Okay, it stands for extended application services, or in short, extended services. Okay. So all the 5 dimensions of modern decision making it covers. That means it goes deep. Deep means data can be as granular as day level or second level or minute level. So it can go to that deep level data. Broad Okay, it can be many types of data. It can be a text file, or it can be a PDF file, or it can come from ECC source tables, or any form of data it can accept. It is real time. That means there is no lag of data. So if the source gets new data, immediately it is also available in SAP HANA. So it's in real time. Simple, because it has no data aggregation, no preparation, like in BW. First you load the data from your source system like ECC, SAP ECC, you load the data, then you cleanse the data, you aggregate the data and then store it in the info cube, and then report or do analysis on the info cube. So all those preparation steps are no more required in SAP HANA. You can load the data as it is from the source and then report on the same granularity in which the data was present in the source. High speed, it has very fast response. Why? Because the entire data now sits in RAM, and RAM is much faster than the traditional disk. That's why it's very fast. So these are the 5 dimensions which is covered in SAP HANA. Excuse me. Smita?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi Smita, how are you?
Good. Yeah, so Dhruv, you started the class already?
Yes, it's been just 5 minutes. We have
Okay.
started the class. And since Prashant he has newly joined the batch, so I was just going through the day 1 and day 2 classes, the concept.
Okay. Okay.
And since you are also joining after a few days, so it will be good to have a refresher.
Yeah.
Right? I know we have covered, I think 4 or 5 classes with you, right?
No, just 2. Just 2 sessions. Yeah.
Okay, so can you tell me what was the last session we went through?
We
Was
went
it
to
HANA Studio?
Yeah, HANA Studio. HANA Studio deep dive something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. So in today's class we'll cover that. So from tomorrow onwards it will be new class for both of you.
Okay.
Okay. So you can see my screen, Smita, right?
Yeah, right. I can see it.
Fine. Perfect. So I would request you to put your lines on mute unless you have a question, in which in that case you can unmute and ask.
Dhruv, can you explain about this node data preparation and node tuning?
Yeah, sure. So what basically this says is, this dimension called simple is that the only step you need to do in HANA is just load the data. Excuse me. So whatever data is there in the source system, you just load it as it is in SAP HANA, and your data loading part is done, finished. No more, loading it into other sources, aggregate data, no more performance tuning, no more index building, and all those things are now obsolete. So they are no more required. So for example, if you take an example of BW system, right, which is a data warehousing solution from SAP. So what it says is, in BW, when you load the data, you cannot use it as it is. First, you have to, clean the data, remove any invalid data like invalid dates or invalid sales amount and all those things. Then aggregate the data. Okay, so data will be on day level, and the report is required at month level. So you have to first aggregate the data monthly, and then store it in a separate area which is called a DSO or an info cube, and then you report or analyze that data. So before you can analyze the data, all these steps are required to be done in a traditional data warehousing system. But in HANA, it has become much more simpler. So there is no need for any such steps of cleansing, of aggregating, performance tuning, and all those things. you can just load the data as it is and directly report on that data. You don't need to do any preparation before you can start analyzing that data. Okay. So all these 5 dimensions are covered very well by SAP HANA. So it goes deep, it goes broad, it is a real-time system, it is much simpler than traditional data warehousing or any other system, and it is very, very fast. Okay, so that is the reason it can serve as a foundation for transaction system also like ECC, or it can also serve foundation for analytical system like BW. So that is why with SAP HANA, the line between OLTP and OLAP is becoming thinner and thinner. And very soon you will see that on one single system, you can do both analysis as well as transactions. Going back to what originally was there. Now SAP HANA is not a software which you can download from any website or google.com, right? SAP HANA is an appliance. An appliance means it comes with a box, that means a hardware box, and a pre-installed software. Okay, that software runs on Linux operating system. It does not run or it does not support Windows so far. In future it might, but right now it only supports Linux. And which version? It is SUSE Linux 11, /11. Okay. The hardware which is built for SAP HANA are being built by 10 certified hardware vendors. So you cannot just go to any hardware vendor or your local hardware vendor in your local area and ask for SAP HANA. They will not be able to give it to you. There are certain certified SAP HANA vendors. Right now the number is 10, but it is growing with time. And for a few prominent members, a few prominent hardware partners are HP, IBM, Fujitsu, Dell, Cisco, Hitachi, and NEC. So these are few names who are certified by SAP to provide you with the SAP HANA box with software installed on it. And all these boxes will run on the Linux operating system. Okay. SAP HANA product comes in 3 flavors. One is Platform Edition. The second is Enterprise Edition. And the third is BW on HANA. Now we have more products also which have come up, like is complete business suite on HANA, that is also released. CRM on HANA, that is also released. So now every software which SAP has produced so far, they are now getting migrated to SAP HANA, and they are very tightly integrated with SAP HANA. But if you just take the standalone version, that means it is not a foundation for any software of SAP, but it is just a standalone server which you want to use, then it will come in 2 versions, Platform Edition and Enterprise Edition. Okay, so that is how SAP is selling its database HANA. Then coming back to licensing of SAP HANA, how licensing is done. So the way SAP licenses HANA is by its main memory, or that means DRAM. The smallest license is 64 GB. So it grows, it comes in 64 GB. 64 GB is extra small. So they have given the name called t-shirt sizes. Like if we go to an apparel shop and we buy a shirt or a t-shirt, it comes in extra small, small, medium, large, extra large, like that. So similar naming convention has been used for SAP HANA size. Okay. So the smallest size comes with 64 GB of RAM. The biggest size, okay, right now it comes with around 1 terabyte of RAM. Okay, for one node I'm talking about, for one server. If there is a multiple node system or distributed system, then it can go to multiple terabytes. But for one single host, or one single node, or one single server, I can say the biggest size can be 1 TB of RAM. Okay, I'm not talking about hard disk, I'm talking about RAM. So in the diagram you can see this is a t-shirt size, extra small, small. Small comes again in sub flavors like small, small plus and SSD. Right? It starts with 128 GB and goes up to 256 GB. Then there is medium, which is 512 GB. Physical memory starts with 256 GB and goes till 512 GB. And large is 1 TB physical memory, starts with 512 GB and goes to 1 TB. So this is one host maximum memory of RAM, and the ratio between RAM and hard disk is usually 1:4. So if my RAM is 1 TB, my hard disk should be minimum 4 TB. It can be more, no harm in that, but minimum should be 4 TB. That is a standard guideline for sizing for SAP HANA. Coming to pricing, we have different versions. Like one version is your on-premise, and the second version is cloud. So if you take on-premise version, you can see these are the standard pricing what SAP is offering. So you will have, if you go for platform edition, right? On the right side you can see platform and below enterprise. So these are the on-premise editions. That means the hardware vendor will come to your location, your office or your home, and he or she will install it on-premise. That means physical machine. And cloud-based is that some cloud company will host the HANA server. They will install the HANA server and the software will come pre-installed, and you just use that on the web, on the internet, and pay as you use. If you are using 2 hours in a day, you just pay for 2 hours. So that is cloud solution. So for both, these are the prices. Right? So you can say around, it starts when you install for the first year, right? It goes to around $3 million if you go for 1 TB t-shirt size, and that is for the platform edition. That means your on-premise edition. If you go for cloud-based, then for 256 GB, it will cost you around $100,000. So it's like that. And similarly, as the year progresses, your cost will come down and it will become standardized. Excuse me. Because as you go on year by year, you just renew your licenses and the cost will be constant for renewing the license. Okay, so that's how the pricing is done for SAP HANA. Then
Drew,
let's look at
an appliance. Then what is that year column will do?
See what happens if you go for 256 GB year 1, year 2 if you go for 512 GB, year 3 if you go for 1 TB, right? You are increasing the memory gradually year by year. So then the extra memory and the licensing for that memory will cost you that much. And from year 3 onwards, you have gone to maximum, which is 1 TB. So then each year you will not increase the memory because it's not possible. You will just renew the license. So that's why the cost will be like that. So here they have given an example of that each year you are adding few memory in the cloud solution. In the on-premise solution, they have assumed that you are going for the full-fledged memory, the maximum memory, which is 1 TB. So when you install for the first year, that is your installation cost plus your HANA server cost. So it comes to around $3 million. Then from next year onwards, you don't need to install the hardware again, right? Hardware is already there with you. All you need to do is just renew the license. So that's why the cost is stable, $638 to $53. Each year you can see the same cost will come. But in the cloud base, if you go augmenting the memory each year, then this is the cost you will get. 1 TB if you reach, that is the maximum. That is what it will cost you, $365,940. So we have just given you a comparison of if you go slowly, year by year, if you increase, or if you go for full-fledged, full short 1 TB memory. Okay, any questions? Okay.
So in a way, cloud is more economical.
Absolutely, absolutely. That is the main reason people are going for cloud solutions, because they don't have the headache to maintain the hardware, right? They don't have the headache to do the maintenance of that hardware. That means upgrading that hardware every year, or when a new version is released, then upgrading that to the new release. One person should be constantly monitoring that server. It gets heated up, server shuts down. So there are various problems associated with the hardware which is there in your location. But if you give that headache to somebody else, right? Like you use Dropbox or we use Google Drive, right? What are these? These are the services for storage services, cloud services. So you log in, you can sit anywhere in the world and you can access your documents on the Dropbox or on the Google Drive. Why? Because it's in the cloud and cloud is accessible anywhere. You don't have to maintain a hard disk for storing. You don't have to maintain a pen drive for storing. They will do all the storage. They will do all the maintenance. If your Google Drive is getting updated, then they will do the updation, new release of Google Drive. Everything will happen online. You just have to pay per use. So if you use 10 hours in a day, just pay 10 hours in a day. So that's why cloud is becoming very popular. And all the different companies are now starting to give cloud services. So you don't need anything in your premise. Everything is cloud, on cloud.
Okay.
Yeah. Then comes HANA scenarios. So this is again a picture which will explain the different use cases excuse me, of HANA, that how many ways we can use HANA. So on starting from the left side, you can see that it's a data mart. HANA as a data mart. So what happens is you have your SAP software which is running on Oracle, and you have your HANA database which is installed separately. Now you are transferring your data from Oracle to HANA, and then you are directing all your applications, your custom applications, to this HANA database, new database. So it is at a data mart. Data mart means a standalone HANA server, load everything in that server, and then do whatever you want to do on that server. That is data mart. This is one way to use. Second way to use is HANA apps. Okay. Now what is the difference? These are almost the same. Same thing happens here. A standalone HANA server is installed. All the data is loaded. Okay. But here the difference is, you can see that now in this case my business suite is also connected to SAP HANA DB. Right. So that means my business suite can also access SAP HANA database, as well as I will have some standard applications which are developed only for HANA, right? One example is smart meter analysis. Smart meter analysis is developed by SAP. It's an application which you can run on your mobile device or on your iPad, and that will give you the usage of your electric meter every month, quarter by quarter, year on year, and all those comparisons and all the data you can do. So that is called smart meter analysis. That is one application which is developed for SAP HANA. So those are called HANA apps. So those apps can be used with this new server. So that is another way to use SAP HANA. Third way to use SAP HANA is HANA content, reporting and analytics. So basically what you do is you load all the data. Same thing here, different server, standalone server, you load all the data. And now you build the modeling views on that loaded data. And then use your reporting tool like Business Objects or Tableau or Microsoft Excel and all the other reporting tools you can use directly on those modeling views which you have created. And this is going to be our focus in this training because modeling is the core area of this training, where we will see what kind of models are possible, and how many models are possible, and how reports can access those models. So this is called HANA content. We also have standard views given by SAP HANA, and that is called HANA Live. Okay, that is a business content, standard business content, which comes with pre-defined modeling views, which you just activate. You don't have to create from scratch. You just activate that HANA Live content, and there will be around 1000 or around 1010 views. The modeling objects will be created for you, and you can directly use those modeling objects with your reports. So that is called HANA Live. Then HANA as an accelerator you can use. I already discussed this yesterday. And HANA as an accelerator means that you are directing few transactions from your SAP software like COPA or your sales billing analysis. So all these sub-modules which are inside the SAP Business Suite are directed to, some of these modules are directed to SAP HANA, and you are comparing that previously when they were getting data from Oracle, how fast it is now with SAP HANA. So SAP HANA is accelerating few applications within your SAP Business Suite. Then we have Cloud on HANA. Basically what happens is you have your cloud solutions, your client software, your front-end tools are internet based, and your HANA database is on-premise, right? It's a hardware installation in your location. So from your cloud also you can directly connect to your HANA database which is installed in your location. Business One Analytics on HANA. Business One is SAP's software solution for small and medium size industries. Okay, and that also can directly sit on HANA and can give you all the analytics and reporting. Business One on HANA. Business One and Business One Analytics, these are two separate solutions. Business One is for transaction system like your ECC, but a smaller version of ECC for small and mid-term industries. And Business One Analytics is basically your reporting aspect of Business One. So that's nothing but BW. So both of these softwares can sit on HANA directly and get the data from HANA. Now till this Business One Analytics, it was side-by-side scenarios. These are all side-by-side scenarios. That means your old database, whether it was Oracle or DB2 or Microsoft, will stay as it is. They will not be removed from the picture. So they will stay, but beside them, HANA will be separately installed. So that is why it's called side-by-side scenarios. Starting from Business One on HANA, we have three scenarios like Business One on HANA, BW on HANA, and Business Suite on HANA. Here, the difference is that your old database is completely removed, okay, and it is replaced by HANA database. So these are called integrated scenarios. Okay. And finally, we have transformational scenarios. That means not only you have replaced your old database with HANA, but you have transformed the HANA database into a platform, complete platform, not just a database. And when I say platform, I mean your web applications can sit on HANA, your different languages can sit on HANA, custom applications can be built on HANA. So it's basically end-to-end software platform. And how it is possible? By installing different libraries and access engine inside SAP HANA. Is that clear? Any questions?
Yeah. Dhruv, by replacing HANA system instead of Oracle, it will be cost saving or more costlier than the Oracle database?
It depends what size you are going. So if you compare the same size, like Oracle size was 1 terabyte and HANA size is 1 terabyte, definitely HANA will be costlier if you go for on-premise. It will be costlier, but it will give you all the benefits like real-time reporting. It will give you the benefit of tight integration with all your SAP applications, and it will give you the benefit of all future innovations which will be done on SAP HANA. But yes, it will be a little costlier than Oracle. And that is because this database is new in the market compared to Oracle. Oracle has been there for years, and anything which is there for 10 years, the cost automatically comes down, right? So if you go for a Samsung Note 3 cell phone, 3 years back you will get it for 50,000. Now you can get it for 35, 40,000. So definitely when a product stays there in market for longer term, the cost is bound to come down. So Oracle is there for maybe 15-20 years, maybe more, and SAP HANA is just 4 years old. So you cannot compare actually, right, at this moment. If they would have been in the market for equal years, then yes, you can do the comparison. But even though SAP HANA is just 4 years old, it is much better and faster when it comes to SAP software, okay, than Oracle. Okay.
For example, Dhruv, you said the ratio, sorry? The ratio between these DRAM and hard disk will be 1:4.
Minimum, yes.
Yeah, minimum 1:4. If suppose hard disk is having a 3 to 4 terabytes of data with hard disk and 1 TB of RAM, DRAM is there. If DRAM is able to access 4 TBs of data at a time?
Yes. So your 4 TB of hard disk get compressed into 1 TB of RAM. Same data will be there on RAM and on hard disk. Same data, but the data will be compressed. So you are compressing 4 TB into 1 TB, but you are not losing any data. Please remember, you will not lose any data. Data will be as it is same. But the only thing is you are compressing the data in RAM and you are not compressing the data in the hard disk. Okay. Because the minimum, the compression factor can go to up to 1:10. So the way the SAP HANA RAM stores the data, it can compress 10 TB into 1 TB. Okay, that much compression can happen. But the best practice or the guideline is minimum 1:4 should be there. Okay. Does that answer your question, Prashant?
Yeah. Dhruv. If a company is having more data, they'll be storing somewhere else, or they can able to store in the HANA setup itself.
They can store in HANA setup. No issues.
If a company is having data of 50 years or 60 years data, they can able to store in the HANA itself, or they need to go for other sources.
They can store in HANA, but yes, of course, there is a limitation. Like any other system, HANA also has a limitation, and the limitation is, so far HANA can maximum have 16 nodes, not more than that. So 16 node means one node maximum can have 1 TB of RAM, right? So that means 16 node means 16 TB of RAM. So the maximum RAM possible so far right now, actually IBM has built 500 TB also, but that is a very highly distributed system. But if you talk about on a single HANA database system, there can be 16 nodes, and 16 node means 16 TB. So far, for one complete setup, of course, this is one data center I'm talking about. If you combine multiple data centers, then yes, there is unlimited RAM. But multiple data centers will have very huge maintenance cost associated. So if we assume that there is just one data center where you have set up your HANA system, the maximum nodes you can have for one data center is 16 nodes. So that means 16 TB of RAM is the maximum. And 16 TB means hard disk should be 1:4 minimum, right? So 64 TB. So if your company has less than 64 TB of data, which is huge actually, HANA can support, one data center can support. But if your 60 years of data exceeds 64 TB, if it is 100 TB or 200 TB, then definitely, multiple data center options will have to be considered. Yeah. Okay. These are different deployment options of SAP HANA. Okay. We already discussed. I'll just go through it again. So there are two versions. One is on-premise. That means in your location. And in on-premise, it comes under platform edition. In platform edition, what it will be there is your database will be there, your studio will be installed, your update manager, software update manager, also called SUM, will be installed, your solution manager diagnostic agent will be installed, host agent will be installed, which will monitor the system, and your lifecycle management structure will be installed. So these are different database components which will be installed on your server. And on your workstation, that means your front-end machine, your HANA Studio will be installed, your client software will be installed. Client software is nothing but the drivers, different drivers which different reporting tool uses like MDX, ODBC, JDBC, etc. And then you will also install the client software for Microsoft Excel. Okay, so these three pieces of software will be installed on your workstation, and these set of software will be installed on the server, on a database server. The common software is Studio. Okay, here also you can see Studio. Here also you can see Studio. This is because the Studio is the front-end software which talks to SAP HANA database. So SAP HANA database should know that what language Studio is speaking, so that it can respond to SAP HANA Studio. That's what is installed on both the machine. But the component is different. Here GUI and P2 repository components are installed, and here your front-end software is installed. But both belongs to SAP HANA Studio. And then the second edition is the Enterprise Edition. Enterprise Edition, as you can see in the box, it includes the Platform Edition, plus it has the data provisioning options or data provisioning servers, like your SLT, which is real-time SLT stands for SAP Landscape Transformation. This is one of the data loading technology which will give you real-time data. So that has to be installed on a separate server. We have data services, which is part of business objects, business object software stack, which is also called BODS, business object data services. That is also a separate software which gets installed on a separate server. And finally, we have DXC. DXC doesn't need to be installed on a separate server, but DXC has to be activated. So if you go for Enterprise Edition, in addition to the core database components, you also get the data provisioning components. That is the difference between platform and Enterprise Edition. And finally, you have solutions. There is no official product called SAP HANA Solutions, but they have just given you the option to include reporting tools as well. So that means you have to buy business object licenses. So if you buy business object licenses, then all the business object tools you will get, like Explorer, dashboards, Crystal Reports, Design Studio, etc., which will be installed also on a separate server. Okay, that is why this is marked with dashed lines, because there is no official terminology as SAP HANA Solutions. They have just said that there are optional component business object tools which you can also install. But officially it comes in two versions, platform and enterprise. And this is for on-premise. Please remember that, not cloud. Cloud will have a separate set of offerings. So this is just giving you what is pre-installed by the vendor. Vendor means hardware vendor. These are optional components. Customer can choose these, whether they want this or not. And these are the platform edition components, and these are the enterprise edition components. Then comes cloud editions. Okay, we saw on-premise editions. Now we will talk about cloud editions. So cloud editions are three options. One is your platform, cloud platform. One is your HANA 1. And the final one and the best one, the most robust one is HEC. SAP, it's called SAP HEC, HANA Enterprise Cloud. This is the biggest and the most stable and recommended version of Cloud Edition. People will call it HEC, but it stands for HANA Enterprise Cloud. Apart from this, Platform Edition is also there, and HANA 1 is also there. Okay. SAP HANA Enterprise Cloud is different from other two cloud editions in a way that the cloud which will be given to you will be SAP and partner managed cloud, not public cloud. Other two will be on public cloud. Okay. When I say public cloud, that means the same internet bandwidth will be used by Google, which will be used by these cloud platforms. But if you go for HEC, HEC, then there will be a dedicated line on the internet, a leased line, which will be managed by SAP and its partners for you. So that is the advantage here. Okay, so these are the three options for cloud editions. And then there are different details which I have given. You can go through that. So on-premise, so we have two different types of offerings. One is core services and one is core services plus AMS services. So in on-premise, you can see that everything you have to manage. Okay, they will just install the software and do the basic testing of the software, and then all the other operations you have to do yourself. In cloud platform, if you go for core services, you have to manage your data and application. Of course, the data responsibility stays with the customer, but other operations like virtualization or networking or upgrades and all those things will be managed by SAP or its partners. And if you go for AMS services also, then definitely your application and data will also be managed by the cloud company. So these are the different ways the HANA is deployed and HANA is bought by the customers. SAP is emphasizing a lot on the cloud platform addition, cloud offerings, and primarily HANA Enterprise Cloud, because you will save cost there, huge cost. You will save. You saw the pricing, right? For on-premise it was around $3 million, and for cloud it was around $100,000. So it's a huge difference in cost saving on the cloud. Plus, you don't have to maintain your hardware, and you don't have to do all the operations. So everything you have given to the SAP or its partners, and you just use it and pay for your use. Okay. So this is about the various options in SAP HANA and how it is offered today in the market. Any questions?
No, Dhruv.
Okay. Fine. So let's, we have around 10 minutes left. So I'll quickly go through the HANA Studio. Okay. Now, as we saw that there are two components involved when you go for a fresh installation of SAP HANA. One set of component will be installed on server and the other set on your local machine. The local machine, the main component which gets installed on the local machine is your HANA Studio. This is a piece of software, okay, which you can download from SAP website. This is not HANA server which comes with hardware and software installed. This is a software. HANA Studio is a software which can be downloaded from SMT. SMT stands for Service Marketplace. This is one of the websites of SAP where you can download the software. But of course, it is not free of cost. There is a license cost associated with it, and you have to pay for the license. So what happens is this SAP HANA Studio software, once it is installed on your laptop or any other machine, you can log in into HANA Studio, and through HANA Studio you will log in into the HANA database, and then you can do all the operations, the modeling or data loading, everything through HANA Studio. So the interface between you and the database server is this piece of software, HANA Studio. Now HANA Studio is developed in Eclipse software. Okay, Eclipse is a Java-based software, and it's an open source software developed by IBM originally. And this software gives you the flexibility to integrate different technologies into one single platform. That is the USP of this software. And SAP has adopted this open source software so that the integration with different technologies or different languages can be seamless and easy. So that's what it says here. In the diagram you can see it says different perspectives of the same thing. Now when you log in into SAP HANA Studio, there will be different screens, and those different screens are combined together into different perspectives. Okay, that is the language of SAP HANA Studio. So when you log in into SAP HANA Studio, you will see different perspectives. What is a perspective? Perspective is a set of screens which will let you do certain tasks. So, for example, Prashant is a modeler. Okay, he designs different modeling objects inside SAP HANA. So he will need certain screens where he will create those modeling objects, right? So those set of screens which will enable Prashant to do modeling will be combined together in one perspective, which is called modeler perspective. Similarly, if Smita is the database administrator for HANA, then she will need to do different set of tasks like checking the memory of the system, upgrading the system in time, checking whether there are any alerts or critical issues in the system, then running the housekeeping jobs, nightly jobs and all those things, cleaning the memory and things like that. So all the database administrative work will be done. So to enable Smita to do database administration, there are different set of screens which are combined together in a different perspective, which is called administration console perspective. Okay, so likewise there are around 15 to 16 perspectives, different perspectives to do different set of tasks. So when you log in into SAP HANA Studio, this will be your first screen, welcome screen. Okay, this screen will be your first screen. And here you can see these are different perspectives. First one is open administration to do different administration tasks. Then open modular perspective, open development perspective, lifecycle management perspective, and there are a host of other perspectives. When you click on a perspective, it will take you to another window, and in that window there will be a set of screens which are also called views, right? And in those views you can do those tasks. This is a very important diagram, guys. What it says here is, on the top I have my HANA Studio, okay, and at the bottom I have my database server. Now these two has to talk to each other, and your primary interface will be HANA Studio. So you will log in into HANA Studio with your user ID password, and then you will connect to the HANA database and then do all those modeling or administration or whatever task you want to do within HANA Studio, because that is the front-end GUI for you. Now, within the database server here, you can see there are two cylindrical objects. One is repository, one is catalog. Repository will store your models, your definitions, your modeling objects. Whatever modeling objects you will define, the definition of those objects will go to the repository. In SAP HANA Studio, this repository is known as content folder. So there will be a folder by the name content. So that means it's a repository that will store all the definition of your models. Like if you create an attribute view or an analytic view, these are different types of models which we will go into in further classes. So all these definitions of your models will be stored in the content folder, which is nothing but your repository within SAP HANA. Once you activate your modeling object, then a corresponding runtime object gets created in the catalog folder. So what happens is, when you create something, there are two steps. One is you save it, and the second step is you activate it also. If you just save it, it will stay in the repository folder or content folder. But the moment you press the button activate, then a runtime object gets created in the catalog folder, and all the reporting tools which will run on HANA will access this runtime object in the catalog. It cannot access the content folder or the repository. All the tools will access the catalog folder only. And if you have not activated your models, then you cannot use that model in any of the reporting tools. Okay, these are two different set of storage areas. One stores your definitions of your modelings, and the other stores the activated objects, or also known as runtime objects. In repository, it is called design time objects because it is created while you are designing it. And runtime objects are activated objects in the catalog folder. They are used by the reports. Is this clear, guys? Any queries? Excuse me.
Yes, yes.
So as I told you, a perspective is made of different screens which are also called different views. And the most important view is the system view. SAP HANA system view. This is a screenshot of the system view. On the top you can see here it is written SAP HANA systems. So this is a view which will give view those folders, catalog, content, and your different servers with which you are connected. So all these details will be listed under the SAP HANA system view, which is a very, very important view. Okay. Catalog will contain the activated objects, and content on the right side you can see the content will create your modeling objects. Okay. Excuse me. And this is screenshot shows you what is a perspective. Perspectives are made of different screens. You can see here there are different screens. And if you want to switch from one perspective to other perspective, there are two ways. So if I zoom in on this, so there are two ways. One way is that you go to this window option on the menu in SAP HANA Studio, and you have a list of options. First one is open perspective, so it will give you the list of perspective. You can directly jump to that. Or you also have the second option. You go to the right side. On the top, there will be all the perspectives which you have opened so far. They will be listed. So suppose you are in modular perspective right now, and you want to jump to administration console. So you just click on this, and administration console perspective will open. Okay. So this is on HANA Studio, inside SAP HANA Studio. So modular perspective is given to define your analytical models. For example, attribute view, analytic view, calculation views, etc. Development perspective is meant for Access Engine applications, whatever you're developing in Java, XML, .NET, which will be, talking to Access Engine. Those applications can be developed under the development perspective. If you have any problem in your models or in your code inside SAP HANA, then you can debug that, and for that SAP HANA has given a special perspective called debug perspective. And administration console perspective, which is the default perspective for SAP HANA, okay, will give you the option to do administration tasks. Modular perspective is the most important perspective in which we will spend most time in, because here we will design our models, activate our models, and do all those modeling activities. Then there is another view called quick launch. Okay, this is a screenshot of quick launch. This quick launch is a very handy screen, because this will give you the links for all the frequently done tasks, like creating of your models, or loading the data, generating time data, writing SQL coding, import flat file, export a flat file, and all those different tasks which are done inside SAP HANA are listed in the quick launch. So quick launch you can access through the modular perspective. Okay, it is only available in the modular perspective. And this is a screenshot given to that the reporting tool, okay, can access the different modeling views. Now the important point to remember here is that only analytical views and calculation views can be accessed by a report. Attribute view cannot be accessed directly by a report. And a table also cannot be directly accessed by a report. Only calculation view or an analytical view can be used by the reports. Okay. So I will stop the session here. We will continue from this modular perspective and what are these different views and why they are meant or why they are created, what is the purpose, and from there on we will continue. Tomorrow I'll show you a system demo, and where I will show you how to log in into HANA Studio and how to connect to HANA database server, and I will show you all the screens, perspectives, and everything. Okay, so we'll stop for today. I'm opening this